Ginger.
I'm Dee, and this is Chattin with CHAP.
Hello.
Hello. Today we are going to talk about learning styles.
We are. Okay, so learning styles. Did you know that we don't all learn the same way? And some of you may be saying, well, that's obvious. But some of you may be going like, what? What did you just say to me?
Yeah. This could be a total like light bulb moment where you're like, wait, what do you mean we have different learning styles? So that's why my child hates worksheets. I remember my first year of homeschool, I had to have my light bulb moment. I thought they would be just like me. Would love to sit and do worksheets.
All day long. So you can have a child whose learning style is completely foreign to you. So say you bought this curriculum and it was so perfect. You're like, look how wonderful this curriculum is. I just love it. And you take it home and you open it up and you're doing it with your child. Your child is like, what is this?
I don't like
hate
this,
Mom. Make it stop. And it's probably because they have a different learning style.
Yes.
It could be being difficult that day, but it could be.
It could be.
It's
And
different
now what we're talking about here is not the same as learning differences that we talked about a few weeks ago when we talked about needing an IEP or something like that. This applies to everyone.
Everybody.
Everyone on earth learns in a different way or a combination of ways.
Yes, so everybody has a learning style, and what we're talking about specifically is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning. Okay, so visual learning, you remember by seeing. So you see a picture, you see the words like you're reading, or anything where you take it in through the eyes, and you can visualize things in your head well. I'm a visual learner. I direct dramas, so as I'm working on those, everything that happens in that drama has been in my head already, and it just comes out through rehearsal.
Well, and then there's an auditory learner. Like, have you ever met someone who can just hear something one time and they can remember what they heard? It is amazing. That is an auditory learner.
Yes.
They remember by hearing. These are the kids or the people that prefer audiobooks over a real book. That's a auditory learner.
Yeah. And there's kinesthetic, which they love to move, they use their
sure
bodies, they love to touch stuff, they're always touching things. Manipulatives are great for kinesthetic learners, Matthew C. blocks, things like that. But the object doesn't even necessarily have to be about your topic. Like, you don't have to be playing with a Laura Ingalls doll if you're talking about Prairie. It could be anything. It could be, building Legos or doing read-alouds. It could be bouncing a ball or tossing a beanbag while saying 3 + 3 = 6. It's just the movement.
Yes.
It's like the muscle movement. Muscle memory makes the information stick. So they gotta move. So my boys were constantly moving when I was doing read-alouds, and I was like, there is no way you're taking in any of this. And I would ask them questions, and they could answer everything.
Yeah.
I have a drummer too.
Explain
this. And he is a drummer. He actually does drum, but when he's in a subject that is causing him to have to really plug through something, he drums and drums and drums, and I have to be like,
your temptation is to say, would you please be still? There's no way you can be learning, because that's not how I learn. And please stay still. If I were moving around, I could never concentrate. But we have to remember that all children are probably born as a kinesthetic learner where they need some movement, and then they develop maybe a different style as they mature, as their brains mature. Learning styles can also be a mix of these types of different styles, and they can change over time. So we have to be watching for these styles in our kids, especially when it comes to picking curriculum. The temptation might be to choose what looks appealing to you, but for your child, they might struggle. And the temptation too is then to believe that they're being disobedient, whereas really they're just struggling to adapt their style to what you've put in front of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it's so important to figure this out.
And it's also good to be aware of your learning style, because your learning style could put you totally at odds with your kids. So be aware of how you like to learn. Like I said before, I'm visual. I tap my foot. I'm a little bit kinesthetic too. I don't sit still too well either. Although when I was seriously studying, I did sit still. But one of my other kids is auditory. And it's amazing. I can't believe how, and it's funny how if you're not that learning style, you're like, wow, how do you do that? It's just amazing.
Yeah, I know for me, I am a visual learner. I need to read it. Listening to an auditory book, I can do it. It's just a little bit more of a struggle. My mind starts to wander, and I really didn't take it all in.
Yeah.
So it was hard for me to understand that I had children who needed to hear it. So a book that when I had my light bulb moment 18 years ago when I was homeschooling, someone handed me the book The Way They Learn by Cynthia Tobias. I highly, highly recommend this book. If this is all new to you, if you're having your light bulb moment right now, like this is why we've been struggling with our school day, please, please, please read this book because I'll try to put the link below from Amazon because if you go on Amazon, you can actually listen or read a little section of the book. And she just talks about your children, how God created them. They're all different. And so figuring out what their different style is will put you less at odds with one another. My temptation when I brought my kids home was to recreate the school setting at home. So they needed to be still, they needed to be quiet, they had to have pencils in hand. Well, that did not work out very well for me, and it did not last very long. And after I read this book, I'm like, wow, it's not that the child is being disrespectful. It's not that they're being disobedient. It's that they really need to learn in the way God created them to learn, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that there's something wrong with it. We're just different.
Yeah, and it does take a little bit of thinking. I mean, it's not like, oh, you're this learner. Well, here you go. This is what we do. It might be like, oh my word, what do I do? And it could take a little bit of research. It could take coming to convention and seeing what's there and some options.
That's right.
Talking with people who are there and be like, or coming to the chat booth and saying, I need a little bit of help. Can you help talk with me through things? We are here for you to do that sort of thing. So I also have a book called Your Child Wonderfully Made. It's by Larry Burkett and Rick Osborne. This one is more on the lines of personalities, the lions, the otters, and that sort of thing, and how to work with your children to figure out what it is that God has for them in the future. So the personality thing is a completely different thing, but kind of goes together with the learning style. So if you're interested in that, but there's tons of books out there that you can get some help.
Figure out your child's love language. It's probably different from yours. There's just a lot of things out there, and maybe you belong to a co-op, and so you feel a little limited by what they're doing. You don't quite have as many choices. I encourage you just to talk to the teachers. I had one who was really struggled a little bit in an upper level literature class, and so we did some of the books audio. I talked to the teacher about it. She was on board with it. She knew that's what we were doing, and he excelled that way. So yeah, you're not limited. So just get to know your kids. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you have any tips and tricks that you're doing right now, we would love for you to comment those. Let us know how you're dealing with different learning styles in your home. What are you doing? How'd you figure it out? Maybe you have some resources, some books, anything.
Any books that you like.
Post that below.
Love books.
Homeschool moms love books. Next week, we are going to start a very exciting series. Very exciting series for me. I've been waiting for this series. It is the convention series. So even if you're not planning on convention, please tune in because you might catch something.
You might catch some things. You might go,
maybe I should
think about going to convention. But we're going to be talking about all kinds of things in the coming weeks. And it'll be good.
It will be.
It will be good.
Well, thanks for watching. This has been Chattin' with CHAP. See you next week.